Hello, my name is Jan Vlčinský, and today I'm going with my co-presenters show you as a developer how can DATEX II tooling help you to develop a data exchange system faster. So the data exchange system consists of a provider and a consumer. In our case, we have decided to show it on an example of the most popular data exchange pattern called pull, when the client initiates the data exchange, sending the request to the server side, and the server responds with a content to be delivered. You see a code depicted on the server side and the client side, and what will be presented today will show you how we can help you to generate the code on both sides. The code to develop has at least two aspects. One aspect deals with data structures and the other one with protocol. We will start with data structures. The data structures are typically developed in three steps. First, you model the content, you clarify the top-level requirements, and it could be represented by means of a class model. After that, you propose specific content encoding or decoding, so you decide if the class model will be represented in a specific format such as JSON or XML, and you also generate or create the schemas. Finally, as you have the schema for data structures, you can approach to implement the code which would do encoding and decoding. When you look at this process, you could say that to create a class model for such a purpose could be really demanding, but the DATEX II tooling has already a class model library which can help you a lot, and this is the base for the reuse which you can take advantage of when developing your system. So you can take existing class model library which currently covers about 9 or 10 different application domains. Then there is another challenge, how to convert the class model into a schema. And DATEX II tooling already contains a schema generation tool which can convert the class model or even the slimmed down model, which is called a profile, into a schema for JSON, XML, or ASN.1. Last challenge is how to do how to create some usable code for your server or client side based on the schemas you have at hand. And for this purpose, you may use already existing code generators which are already present in various coding and programming environment. This is not covered by DATEX, this is already existing. So that was about the content and the data structures, and now let's look at the process how to implement the data exchange protocol. First, you have to answer the generic questions and propose rules for data exchange. DATEX II is using or proposing a couple of different data exchange patterns. One of them is pull, another is push, and there are some variants. And when you clarify this question, you can proceed and specify API for specific technology. Currently, with DATEX, you can find open API specification for JSON, JSON4, RESTful or REST-like interface, or WSDL for web services. Last two terms are PIM and PSM. if we look at the content model, the PIM stands for Platform Independent Model and PSM stands for Platform Specific Model. And the question is, what does the platform mean? And you may translate it into implementation detail. If you translate the PIM into implementation detail independent model, it means that the class model does not care of implementation details like are we going to encode it into JSON or XML. And if we translate the PSM into implementation specific model, it means that the model will take care of implementation details such are we going to encode it into XML or JSON. When we look to the protocol or exchange side, we find there also a model, but it's much simpler because the variety of protocols is much lower comparing to variety of class models being used in practice. The generic part is called data exchange pattern. DATEX II is proposing pull, push, and some variants. And then these are reflected in specific API specifications like Open API for the purpose of pull or WSDL if you implement the services in web services. The good thing is that you typically do not have to do any complex conversion of these patterns into specific API specifications because there are not so many and these specifications are already created. So now it's time to get practical and let's look last time for what we will see in upcoming presentations. One will be showing how to reuse existing DATEX II class model for the content, how to slim it down, and how to generate a schema from that. As a result, you have a schema which works for documentation for both sides, but you can also have a really practical artifact which can be used by your favorite code generator. So the first example will be on generating the schemas, and remaining presentations will show you how you can use the schema or the API specifications which already exist to generate some code for your server or client side. So that's all for this moment. Thank you very much and see you soon. Hi, my name is Jan Vlčinský, and in this part of our today presentation I will show you how to take the rich DATEX II content class model, slim it down, and generate from it a JSON or other type of schemas. So the plan is to visit DATEX II class model library, slim it down to create a profile as simple as possible for your use case, and generate from it a JSON schema or other type of schema. Before entering a shopping mall, it's safe and smart to keep good shopping list in hand, otherwise you may get really overwhelmed by all the options which are present. That's why before entering and visiting the DATEX II class model, here we have the initial intention of the model to use for the data to be exchanged. The core, the root element of the data being exchanged is a publication which may contain one or more situation elements. These serve as a group container for one or more related situation records, which actually describe what is happening somewhere. And this is described by in terms of validity, location, and event. The validity is described by means of start and end time. The location using the point structure using latitude and longitude. And the accident describes cause, accident type, and collision type using specific types of enumerations. Now it's time to come to DATEX II class model, and it has multiple forms. One of them is browsable, so you find here a link or instructions how to find such a link. So let's look at the model. And the model, we are not going to study it in detail because this would take too much time. I just want to show you how rich the class model library is. The root class is the payload publication, and from that one is really a lot of different publication classes inherited, one of them being a situation publication. The situation publication has the root element, which contains 0 to n situation elements, which are grouping situation records. There must be at least one, and can be many. I will skip these details beside. The situation record, we will come into details. The situation record has some location reference. This we will need. Comments we skip, impact and source we skip, validity is what we will need. Some links we will ignore, cause will be ignored, identifiers too, operator action, also traffic element. This is where I remember that it has a subclass which contains an accident, so this is our structure we need. And the accident can be quite complex. And I think that for the initial introduction into how rich the model is, it's more than enough. And we will come back to our presentation. So the web tool has some concepts. On one side, it has the rich class model, which lives in a form of AAP file, which is native format used by Enterprise Architect. It has an XMI form, which is exported and rather portable format of the class model, and it might be exported into browsable HTML class model, which is human readable and easy to explore, or can be explored. So this is the couple of different representations of class model of DATEX, and for our web tool we will use the XMI because this is the best readable format for the tool. On the other side, we will expect to get a schema file, and it might be also going with other files like data dictionary, CSV files, and a selection file. We will come to that. The process of profiling and schema generating is as follows. Initially, it loads relevant class model XML file. The file is remembered, and then it loads a selection file. It's an optional step. If there is no selection file, everything is selected. If the selection file is selected, is uploaded, then it pre-populates the tree of selected structural elements. It remembers the selection file, and in following steps, it slims down the model. It creates a profile which simplifies the rich model into what we only really need. This modifies the selection file, and the final step is to use one of 3 available schema generators, either for JSON or XML or ASN.1, and it creates a zip file which includes the resulting schemas, and it might include a selection file or a data dictionary. The zip file is then provided to the client to download and use. If you work on the model for a longer period, you may and you should probably always save the selection file, and you can then in an upcoming processing load it up and have the selection already populated. So it's time to try the real web tool. We go to the web tool datex2.eu, click the wizard, and as I told you, the first step is to load an XML file. You have an option to select the file in here, but you would have to get it from somewhere. You would find it on the documentation site of DATEX. But the web tool is pre-populated with a set of XML files, so it's very convenient just to pick it up. From here, we see that this version includes the situation, which is what we need, and we can proceed. Here we have the chance to select to upload a selection file, but because we have none, we will skip it. Next 2 steps is about profiles being defined by delegated regulations, and location types to pre-select. We will skip it and keep it empty because it would just help us in further processing, and we will make it simpler. The same is for the location. And now the web tool is loading the whole class model of DATEX and creating a tree in which each node could be, or nodes could be selected or deselected to denote that you are intending to use it or not use it in your model. You have to be patient a bit. It takes a moment because the model is really rich. The first step here is to deselect everything, and we will select only internal pieces of the structures we need. And first we search for the situation publication. You don't have to select the situation publication on this level because it would select everything what is under this structure, and it would be probably too much. So it's enough to just select at the last possible moment, because it will select automatically what is required on higher levels. So we see here situation and class situation, and here we find a situation record. The situation record has a validity. That's the first part of our shopping list. So in our validity, we find the validity time specification, and in here overall start time and end time. You see that the first one is obligatory, it must be specified. The end time for accident might be irrelevant, and we can skip these attributes which are not necessary. What's next is to find location. So location reference is here, and we will find it in a location and on a network location, and in here point location, point by coordinates, and in here we select latitude and longitude. I know that for some reason it does not select here. We have to select something on a higher level and it will improve. So we have the location structures included, and the last one is an event which will be in the traffic element, and the traffic element already includes accident, and we will select these three attributes, and the rest is already is not necessary. Click next, and we are at the final step. We aim to get the JSON schema. I always recommend to select all these options because it will include definitions in the schema file. It will save the selection file and allow you to iterate, and it will provide you with the CSV data dictionary related files. We click next and it creates the zip file, and as soon as the zip file is downloaded, I see it on the other window, profile number named 6. It's always a challenge to get the I will close this one, and in the Finder we should find a zip file. Sorry, oh, now we have it. So this is the file we have created, a zip file which includes CSV files. These are together making the dictionary and describing attributes of classes, attributes, data types, etc. Then JSON files for with the JSON schema for data structures used. And there is also a selection file which is handy to have. And that's it. If we look, for example, to common, you see it has some it is a JSON schema draft 4. So I will close this one and come back to the presentation. And we have seen the JSON schema files. And that's it for today from me. Now we'll see how my co-presenters would use the schemas generated in real source code. Thank you very much.